Vivian's here. That's awesome. And so then, yeah, there's also a chat feature so that we are able to see. So Aziz said hello, Sarah and Adam. Preston has also said hello.
So can they see and hear us now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. That being said, can everyone hear us okay? Does our voice level sound pretty good? If you want to, you can just use the chat. Hey, wow, that was rapid.
Awesome.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
That's amazing. So we have about more than 20 people registered. So we're going to wait just a couple minutes to see if anybody else hops into the webinar today. If you haven't already, do go check out the Sweeto website. They've posted new resources related to the coronavirus, COVID-19. They've been really, really on the ball, posting new things all the time.
Thank you. We do have an economic survey on there. It is PDF right now, I believe, but we're looking to get it online. The Pullman Chamber is helping us with that, so it will be a faster process for you. I've got one back since sending it out yesterday. Just know that we're in contact with the people over at the state, and we have our hands on any information that will help you as fast as possible. And so Northwest Media is currently uploading content to our website to help you better. And right now we have a few things on the main page, I believe. So
yeah. So we're going to get going in just a moment. We do have the Q&A section that is available. If you guys do have any questions, please feel free to use that feature in Zoom to ask any questions, even as we're going through the presentation, and we will try to answer it while we're going along. We want to make sure that we don't lose anyone, that we're on track, and that this is as valuable as possible. Also, feel free to use the chat function to chat amongst yourselves, or if you need clarification, we'll also be monitoring that a little bit here and there.
I just have to clarify. So we blocked out 1 to 3. This won't take an entire 2 hours. We were thinking an hour and then leave room for questions. So it could go over an hour a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, so we're sitting at about 14 attendees. We'll wait just 3 more minutes. Let's see, someone has a chat. Yes, recordings will be made available. It'll take a little bit of time for it to process, but we will be sending out the recordings after the fact. And those will be made available to all the panelists, but then also if you reach out to us directly, myself or Sarah McKnight, will be able to get that right to you.
And just an update, we are going to launch Cup of Joe next month from a webinar. So our speaker has agreed to participate in that. So that will be coming out in a couple weeks. I'll send an email with a link. And we were talking about some other upcoming webinars we could possibly do to help you guys out. So we're kind of just brainstorming. Adam thought it would be neat if we could do a video via Facebook. So you could participate that way if you want to use that feature, or you can just do the normal webinar way on Zoom.
Yeah, we're trying to make these available as far out as possible. Make sure that, once again, providing the most value as possible. Let's see here. So, still 103. Sarah, have you ever done a webinar like this before?
I have not. I've talked on the radio, but not done a webinar. So this is a new process today for me. I'm learning.
Great, great. I've done this type of format a couple times before, but it's usually been for live streaming video games in the past. And so sometimes it's a little bit odd. And so I really appreciate having you here to co-host and walk through it and to ask questions together. If you ever watched a streamer or somebody on YouTube, they're pretty much always talking 24/7. And so then if you don't have an audience or people engaging, it can be a little bit difficult. But today this looks awesome with the group. Looks like David's here. That's so awesome. That's so awesome. All right. I think it's okay for us to get started. Nobody else has popped on yet, so I think we are good to go. So we're going to start off with looking at the anatomy of a Facebook page and going through the basics of it. We're going to go through the settings, what each part of the settings do, how they operate, and then we're going to go into the insights section to talk about the different analytics that you might be wanting to keep tabs on, some tips and tricks that go with that, and then we'll get into the advertising section of Facebook. So to get started, this is the Pullman marketing page. We're going to use this for the majority of our data. There are some features that we might have that your pages might not have depending on the age. Facebook will roll out features depending on the age of your page and then what features you are actively using. So if your page looks a little bit different, or if you have tabs that exist that I don't have, that's a-okay. My page is pretty general. It has a lot of the baseline items. But if there's a little bit of variation, do note that depending on the age, there may be some differences. But every page will have your profile picture. It will have a cover image. The cool thing is we can actually use video in the cover. They can get a little bit wonky when you try to have a call to action. So you can sometimes have it fade to something or loop. You have the send message button, which is really neat. You can actually change these to be almost anything relating to your business. So if you want people to book appointments, to contact you directly, to shop at your store or see offers, or even download an app, these are very effective. And you really want to tailor this to where you want people's traffic to go to. So if you want people to call you directly or fill out a form, adjust it accordingly. I have known some businesses to use this to even book hair appointments. There's several Lewiston salons that I've known that will actually use this to literally book their hair appointments. Sarah, do you ever use the send message function?
So I was just going to comment on that. We've had a few people send us messages asking like if we're hiring or if we knew about any jobs. But typically I don't use it much, and I don't think my executive director does either, but it's something for us to look into. Definitely I don't use all the features that I could and should be using on Facebook. So I'm here to learn too.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. And so Facebook pages have evolved a lot over time. If you look here, you can see how to create just even your general post. You can create a live event, which we were talking about making the webinars live later on. You can create your events, offers, or even post jobs. I have seen a few businesses locally use the job function. I haven't seen the measured success of it quite yet, but I do think that it's a good alternative to Craigslist. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Craigslist is actually charging you to post a house or a car or some items for sale.
Oh, I didn't know that because I don't use it much anymore. I guess I use Facebook free and for sale, WSU, and some local groups. So.
Exactly, exactly. And so, as always, you can go through and create your own post.
Now I have a question. So it says post scheduling and additional options are available in publishing tools. So sometimes when I go to do create a post, that pops up there and I can't schedule it unless I go directly to publishing tools. So has Facebook changed that? Because it seems new to me.
Absolutely, they have. Absolutely, they have. And it is a little bit frustrating because we used to just have like a little side thing to open that up. Something went wrong. Thank you, Facebook.
So yesterday I had the same problem right here. It just kept saying something went wrong.
Did it really?
Yes, this exact same thing happened to me yesterday. For scheduling posts.
That's a bummer. So we are going to be talking about this feature in a little bit. So I hope that that starts working soon. Now to do the scheduled post, if you look on the left, it has a lot of different, think of it as assets. So you have like your video asset library. You can also pull in posts and additional, also your job applications. think of it as just a back-end part to manage your content. Because if you just do it from this page, it's very difficult to manage what is already available and what's there. And so then you can come through and create the scheduled posts. We do recommend a tool called Buffer. Buffer allows you to schedule your posts out in advance and actually curate the data a little bit differently. So if you want to post to Instagram and to Facebook, but you want to use different hashtags for the different platforms, Buffer allows you to do that while still scheduling the posts out a little bit more accurately. And so for scheduled posts, this is the spot to do it. But if you're trying to be spontaneous and just throw it out there, yeah, we can just say, hey, we are live with a webinar. I'm just going to go ahead and post that. Now, in general, we do almost always recommend to use a picture or a video. As we'll show you later in the insight section, if you just throw out a post, your engagement, the amount of people seeing it will be very, very low.
I've noticed that too.
And that's Facebook's algorithm saying, well, we believe in high quality content, so we want to see pictures and videos. And that being said, that they will always rank video higher than anything else. And we saw this a while back where they did a hard transition into it when they were testing out the algorithm. And part of that issue became that every single item became a video, every single item. And that made it really, really difficult for people to interact with. And a lot of them were autoplay with sound, which was very frustrating. Have you noticed autoplay with sound recently?
Not really, no, I have not.
Okay. I've been having trouble with it lately where I am getting that. And let me see if I can turn this off. I thought I had. So we're going to turn it off.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Hide the sidebar. So that being said, if we keep scrolling, you do get to see your story. This is curated in the About section, and we'll go through that. The nice thing is your response rates. Sometimes this will be hidden for your viewers. Because we're logged in as an administrator, we're able to see this. Most people can see the amount of followers and how many likes that you have and the people that have been engaging, especially if they are friends. Especially as a administrator and logged in, you're also able to see who is publishing content. So if you have 3 or 4 or 5 people all pushing together to make something work, you then have this showing up for, hey, Preston is the one who actually published this post. One concern that I've been getting recently quite a bit is, say you have a group of individuals who are participating in nonprofit, they want to tie their personal Facebook account to the page. Facebook does not allow that. You have to have that personal profile.
Right.
And part of that is for accountability and liability. And so they are able to track, hey, if something was posted incorrectly, or maybe there was an issue that was posted, that you are able to see who posted it and bring that accountability in. And Tammy asks, is Buffer an app? Yes, it is an app on your cell phone, and it is also a website that you can use. I can pull it up just briefly to show you guys. It is buffer.com. They have multiple functions and features. It is free for up to 3 users. Ooh, and there are chats. Wait. Perfect, perfect, perfect. You guys are doing awesome. You guys are doing awesome. And that's still popping up. That's amazing. So Do you have any questions or thoughts as we scroll through or anything?
No, I'm good. I think we'll just follow along here. So.
All right, so then we're going to pop into the About tab. And these items on the left are specifically called tabs. And so we do highly, highly, highly recommend coming in here and making sure that each item is completely filled out. And what we mean by that is if you are missing your directions and you don't have your address or your phone number or even your categories set up correctly, and I'll even go ahead and hit edit, you can go in and add categories that accurately present your business. And this helps with not only organic searches, but then also when you're doing advertising to make sure that when you are advertising to someone that you are in the right categories and that these people are interested in your products.
I need to check on that for ours. That's a good point. I'm not sure what that looks like.
Yeah. And then we do recommend using the username, and that controls the vanity URL that's up here. So if we change the username to something else, it would change the link at the very top. So currently ours is just facebook.com/Pullman marketing, and that's available. Sometimes they do have restrictions on how often you can switch these on and off. We always recommend having your hours appropriately updated and making sure that you are saying and suggesting the right times. There's nothing more frustrating than seeing that a business is open and then going there and they are closed.
Right.
Now, a lot of businesses have gotten a little bit frustrated with the price range, especially with restaurants.
Can I say something? Sometimes if I hit the chat and close all, it usually shuts it up, but I'm not sure if it'll
close all chat tabs.
I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know why that one's still popping
Turn
up.
off chat tabs. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll try that. And you can come in and edit and say what your price range is, or if you want to be unspecified. However, if people come in and do reviews, they can change the price range.
Okay.
You will, as a business owner, have a chance to change it back or to review that setting. But that may be an indicator to the restaurant or the small business that actually your prices might be a little bit higher than you feel that they might be. You might think that they're a very good value and your customers are saying, hey, no, this isn't quite right.
Right. And it's probably hard to specify sometimes because I know some of the viewers, you're in retail, some of you are in banking and a variety of different things, body shop repairs. So, you know, it's hard to say what your price range is depending on what it is you do and what you're doing. So for us, we're a nonprofit, so we'd be unspecified, no charge.
Yep. And then Vivian asks, what do we recommend for the @user that appears? I would say to always keep those short and easy, as if you were putting it on a business card. Something that's very easy to type and very easy for the user to come back to. Then you can have your additional contact information. So maybe you have a specific email address, or make sure you have your website URL and your business information. Really what happens is we come in to work with a lot of businesses and the about section is actually blank.
I've seen that.
And it doesn't provide the end user with a lot of support. It doesn't help them get a sense of who the business is and how they can best work with you. Some of these things are a little bit nuanced for privacy policies. You may or may not have one. You may have products that you want to advertise or not advertise. We'll get into what those mean in just a little bit. At base level, we do recommend making sure your general, your business info, your contact information, and even your story is fully fleshed out.
Now I know we don't have a story section, I don't think, on our Facebook. And is that a newer feature maybe?
So I think the story has been around for about 2 years.
Okay.
But depending on how the page was set up, it might not get that one. and we can look at that together. Cool. So we are going to hop into posts. The post tab is where you can come in and see all of your posts and how they've been interacting in just a very clean, laid out manner. The other thing to note is on the right side is you're able to see the visitor posts. Now, visitor posts used to be embedded just in the news feed of the business, but now they've actually obscured visitor posts out and away to make it so that visitors can't just hijack your page feed content, because that was happening quite frequently. I'm very blessed to have Robert Joe. He runs a local business in Colfax. He wrote a glowing review of us in a visitor post. And then Tim Stevens also did the same. If you guys want to go in and read those, highly recommend. We really appreciate the feedback and the support that we get as a small business as well. And then before I go into settings, was there anything that you saw that was interesting?
No, your page just looks a little different than ours, obviously, because you're better at this than I am. So, you know, some things for me to go back and definitely look into and check on that I'm seeing here that I don't notice on our page. So definitely have some homework to do.
Yep. And then Judd Thompson does ask if things are being recorded. Yes, we are recording this, and we will be providing this available. And then Vivian asks, how do you get a client to write a recommendation on your Facebook page? Is there a link to send them? Yeah, so that's a great question. There are two different ways to do that. You can turn on reviews and have people just review your business. We do recommend that, especially if you are a brick and mortar, for people to, just as they would a Yelp or a Google review, to be able to do the same. Or they can do a visitor post that you can highlight. Honestly, it's really just inviting them into it. It can be scary to ask people to write reviews, but most of the time we have found that people are more than happy to write reviews.
So where do we go to do that? Is there a review part, or do you?
I actually don't have reviews turned on this page.
Okay. I'm just wondering, you know, for them, where would they go? Where would they find that if they didn't know where it was?
Yeah, so let me show you one of our other clients. Yeah, Palouse Carpet Cleaning. And actually, Palouse Carpet Clean, I'll give a shout out to them. They're doing a 50% off all household cleaning right now.
Well, that's great. So those kiddos will get your house dirty in 6 weeks quick, right?
Right. And their heart is that with your kids at home and everything going on, that it makes it a little bit difficult to make your home the school again. And so they're trying to work with people and make it more delightful for them to come in.
Okay, so I see a reviews on the left. Is that what you're talking about?
Yep.
Okay.
So they have the reviews tab operational.
So the public can go to this page and do reviews and type out a review.
Correct.
Okay.
And then for providing them a link, it's usually the vanity URL /reviews. And then somebody is able to come in and post a review and their opinion and see what's going on.
Thank you.
Yeah. So no, that was a great question. Thank you so much, Vivian. So I'm going to try and hit these a little bit quickly, but please feel free to stop and ask questions. Some of this can get a little bit much, but these are very important settings to have and to know what are going on. Let's see here. Does it improve analytics to respond to reviews? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. The more engaged you are, the more people are willing to engage with you. And Facebook algorithm, the more interactions they see, the more they will prioritize you. And that can actually lead to lowering your cost per click and other things when you are doing advertising. All right, so page visibility. If you ever needed to hide your page or unpublish it, this does not necessarily delete the page, but just makes it unfindable temporarily. Sometimes businesses do need to do this. You can control whether people post or can post to your page. We do allow people to post. However, we have it set up so people are not allowed to post videos or pictures, just to make sure there's no spam or other problems that can occur.
So the page visibility, I know from my experience, I had to merge a couple suite of pages. There were two floating out there, so we decided to merge them for the county's benefit. So I did have to unpublish and get rid of one, but it was quite a bit of work. So hopefully no one has to do that.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. The other thing too in here is messages. Whether you want people to send you messages via Messenger, whether you want people to be able to tag, and how that operates together. There may be different reasons for tagging or not tagging. There may be legal issues depending on your niche and market. I know some of the financial industry companies are not allowed to promote too much unless it goes through a compliance officer. So a lot of times they'll have a lot of these features turned off because of that.
Okay, so if you didn't want people to contact you for messages, would you just state, please contact us via email instead?
Yeah, so we would turn this button off, and then that message that shows right underneath the cover image, we might direct them to either a phone call or to the website. Okay. There is a feature that some people have, some people don't, that allows them to fill out a form right inside of Facebook. But once again, if you are, say, medical, maybe dental or financial institution, you can't guarantee Facebook's security. So you still may direct them to your website to make that interaction happen. You can do country restrictions if you ever need to. You can also set a profanity filter, just because if you want to be more kid-friendly, or if you know that you're going to be reaching out to the community a lot, maybe somebody was unhappy with something that happened, or they feel vindicated or justified to post something, it's just an easy way to curb some things ahead of time.
Makes sense.
And then, yeah, content distribution, downloading a page. So downloading a page, if you ever feel like you need to delete your page, you can download everything that has happened. I know some compliance officers do require that as well. There was one government agency that did not want to engage with social media because they had to report and print every single interaction. Okay. So this is a way that they would be able to do that. This is where your merge pages function is. That can take some time and be a little bit difficult. You do have the ability to fully delete your page if you really want to. I'm going to say pullmanmarketing.com/webinar. All right. And then you can also enable live commentary. So this is when you do a live watch party. So say if we did a webinar in the future and we had it broadcasted, there's ways for people to do additional interactions with you while you're doing the watch party. We do have another question. Can you delete reviews? No, you cannot. So I know that some people are sometimes leery of having reviews because you're unable to curate that experience. Just like with Yelp though, you will be able to respond, and Facebook will also show the most relevant, and they will help you curate a little bit that way.
And sometimes you get those people that leave not nice reviews, and the best thing you can do is just to engage with them and say, you know, I'm sorry you had a bad experience. We're doing these improvements. You know, I've seen some bad Google reviews, and the way that the owners react are very positive. I'll use Mint Condition Dental, for example. They had some not nice reviews, and you know, I like the way they interacted with the customers that were kind of negative. So it's always good to just kill a negative with a positive. That's my philosophy.
Yeah, and then Vivian asks, is there a way to prevent people from downloading? Yes, there is. However, if they know what they're doing, there's always a way to download it or to steal it. And so that being said, I would, for your business, I would recommend watermarking just everything. That is the safer way to do it. Yeah. So if we go to the tab for page info, this is literally your about section in an easier to manage, easier to edit format. So I'm not going to take too much time on that since we've already looked at that before. Messaging. Messaging is super duper important because this will handle some of the ways you respond. And one of the features that I really love is the show a greeting function. So even before someone, they'll click the send a message, and then they'll see a greeting automatically there. Before they type, before they do anything, they say, hello, thank you so much. Please send us any questions you might have. And you can change that, you can edit that a little bit, but that shows that you're willing to engage, that you're wanting that interaction. The other really, really cool thing to do is set up auto responders / automated messaging. To me, this is a huge, huge win for a lot of companies because you can just say, hey, we're away right now, or hey, this isn't during our operating hours. They may have asked a question, but then they still feel like they have been heard and that something has been responded to. And you are able to set up a schedule and just say, hey, you know, between these hours, I really want to sleep. So if I say 6 p.m.
I didn't know this was available. Obviously, in email, we sent automatic responding stuff out all the time, but didn't know it existed here today.
And so say I don't want to receive any messages 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. I can just block that out for every day of the week, and then they'll receive this.
Oh, that's great.
You can also have it auto respond with your location, hours, frequently asked questions. There's a lot of really cool features. We're probably not going to go into all the nuances today, but you are able to program this not only for Facebook Messenger, but also for Instagram. And so we are seeing those types of integrations coming more and more and more available. We are also seeing more integrations with WhatsApp. I have side commentary about that. You can ask me about that any other day. See here, there's another question. Anonymous attendee, I've seen reviews left for a hair salon, but the bad reviews was actually for a nail salon a couple doors down. Can you petition? That is a great question. Typically not. Facebook really believes in that transparency. And they came out with an interesting statement, I think 2 weeks ago, in the wake of some political things, that they want people to see all the truths and all the lies and all the misgivings that may be occurring, that they believe in full transparency for that. So that's kind of Facebook's general stand and policy. But you can come in and say, respond to that review and say, hey, this is actually a review for the wrong location. So-and-so, would you be able to edit this review for us, please? It's very polite. You're communicating what happened. And anyone who's scrolling through there will be able to see really what's happened and what's going on.
That's unfortunate.
That is super unfortunate. It is, yeah. So templates. Templates actually control the tabs that are on your business page on the left side. And what they've tried to do is set up templates that will help general businesses. So I'm in the general business category, but they have them set up for services, for venues, for nonprofits, politicians, restaurants and cafes, shopping, videos, etc. So this is something that I would recommend when you're first creating your Facebook page, to come in and then just apply the template, and that will get you about 70% already set up for where you should be.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
We're already established. Can I go back and do this?
Absolutely, you
Okay.
can. And you can even say view details, and they'll tell you what tabs they're trying to give you.
Okay.
And then you can either apply the template or just hit back.
Okay.
The neat thing is you can come in and edit them after the fact too, but it's really just saying, you know, is it on or off? And then also the URL for it. So they don't give a whole lot of settings feedback after the fact other than on or off. Okay, let's see here. Next on it is notifications. And we do have a question. We're looking for business info on this here. Yeah, so Eric Wanamaker, yes, they are looking for businesses on Instagram, especially on the younger demographics. We are seeing a higher level of engagement. I've also known students that will exclusively go to restaurants based on Instagram pages. Now that's something a little bit more metropolitan than what Pullman will probably see as a mainstream. But for me, if I'm going to visit Hawaii specifically, they have a very strong Instagram culture, and I'll find the best food truck Instagrams and go there. I like food trucks a lot. So notifications. This is where you can turn off notifications so that your phone doesn't blow up 24/7 with your page. Facebook likes to inundate you with a lot of content, even receiving emails about important things. But this is your prerogative of what you would like to receive. I do have notifications for all activities on my page so that I can respond to it as soon as possible. But if you want to receive one notification every 12 to 24 hours, well, then that might be what's best for you.
Right, and that will change your response time that everyone sees or you see, right?
Yep. And sometimes new followers, that might not be as important to receive a notification for every new follower. But go ahead, curate this, see what works best for you. And then, okay, Eric says thank you. Yeah. Okay, so I was going to jump down to badges. Okay, a lot of people have seen this function and have asked about it. This is actually more of a groups feature. They did first have it for pages, and then they've pushed it out into groups and fleshed it out more in that environment. Right now, they really are only providing top fan badges. And that just means somebody is interacting with the page the most.
So I've gotten a few of those,
yeah.
But I don't know, I guess I didn't really know what to do. I was like, thanks, that's cool. But what do we do?
Yeah, so if you attended my event on the 28th of February, we talked about how to find your influencers and find people that want to work with you a lot. The top fan badges are a way to help you go through and identify who might be good and brand ambassadors or influencers for you.
Okay.
Yeah, I've gotten that one a few times on a couple pages, but it is dependent on like even daily interactions, and then how often daily are you interacting with them.
Right, I've seen that.
And so the nice thing is, if you are looking for influencers, that's the #1 way to find like, these people are dedicated, they're on top of things, and we want to engage and thank them at bare minimum for being such a good supporter and fan. And then page roles. Hopefully you guys have used the page roles feature. This is where you can assign the page owners and the page admins. We do typically recommend to have at least 3 administrators. 3. That way, in case something happens, you have at least, maybe you have a falling out in your business, or maybe someone just loses their Facebook administrative or loses their Facebook information, that there's at least 2 other people who can help respond and work and engage.
Right, or someone leaves the business.
And so we do have ours set up using the Facebook business tools. That's a deeper function for a deeper day. So we don't quite worry about that as much as a business. As you can see, we only have 1 admin, but anyone who is tied to our business account does have access to make changes and edits. All right, and then people and other pages, what was the other one? Yeah. So this is a great function that I've had a lot of people ask, and Facebook has hidden this, brought it back, shifted it. Currently, it's working and we like it. This shows who likes your page.
Right. And then on the right, under the settings tab, doesn't that allow you to block people?
Correct.
Ban from page.
Yep. So if you do have someone that is causing problems, causing issues, or spamming, you can come in and ban that person, which is really, really helpful for some businesses. Using this drop down, you are able to see banned people on pages. We haven't banned anyone. Pages that like our page. Thank you, Pullman Building Supply and Suida.
You're welcome.
And then you can see the difference in who follows a page versus who likes the page. So once again, that's something that's been obscured in the past. I would recommend to use it to your fullest extent to send messages to Facebook that we like this feature. Please, please, please let us keep it. Please let us keep it. And then I'm going to look at the page support inbox. So sometimes you can run into removed content, suspensions, or other problems that you may have accidentally stepped into. I've known a few businesses that have had problems with this in the past, and this is the part of your settings that you're able to communicate and have a dialogue as directly as possible as Facebook as you can. That still can be pretty hit or miss. Right now, they did remove gray badges a while back. We haven't run into any problems with them, but this is where you can basically email them directly.
Okay.
And I would say when you are emailing people, please send them as much details as possible. Otherwise, they're just going to send you back scripted responses. So the more details you add in, the more likely you're going to get a human response and human reply. So in the page management history, this is where you'll see all the actions from an administrative perspective. So we had Ellie, she worked with us for a while. She's now at a different job and doing amazing. We're so happy for her. I had forgotten to remove her as an editor.
Oh.
So I removed her as an editor as of yesterday, just to show this feature that, hey, when something happens, you're able to see who made the change and what is going on. If you ever have drama in your business or issues that come up, you're able to see, kind of backtrack, okay, well, what's really going on here?
Right.
Who's making changes? And then you're able to see the activity log. And this is everything. You're able to say, hey, I posted, we updated the status. Yesterday we posted things, we were mentioned. This is a really good way to see who's been interacting, engaging with us. I don't visit this tool too often, but it is really, really helpful. Aziz says he has a 2 p.m. client meeting. Great job. Thank you so much,
Thanks.
Aziz. I'm sure we'll be in contact soon. We have lots of ideas, as always. So that's as much as I really wanted to get into for the setting sections before we get into the analytics side of today.
Yes, I'm excited for that.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and hit back out of the activity log. And then we're going to click onto the insights. I'm also going to take a little bit of water.
How far does the history go back for something like this? Because I see, you know, last 7 days, so.
Yeah, so you are able to do last 28 days,
Okay.
and this is the page summary. As we click into these other tabs, we will be able to set and adjust to custom dates and times.
Okay.
For today, we are just going to look at the last 28 days. It's a little bit revealing on our side to show that we don't get a whole lot of page views, but then again, we haven't really posted a whole lot. And so you do see a direct correlation between the two. So that being said, we always get asked, what's the difference between a view, a reach, and an engagement? Page views, and the cool thing in here is you can hover on these little info pieces and they will explain a little bit, but it is the number of times the page has been viewed by someone logged in or out. So maybe someone is using their mobile phone web browser and not necessarily logged into Facebook on their phone, but are finding information about the business that way. It tracks that as well. Page previews is the number of times people have hovered. So maybe they saw, oh yeah, somebody shared this content, and they hovered, okay, well, what is Pullman marketing, or what is Suida? And it would just show them a small preview of what's going on.
So it doesn't mean you click on it. You just look at it in your on your scrolling. Okay.
Yep. Then we get to see what our page likes are for new people who liked us, and then your overall post reach. So post reach, and the term reach in general is individual people. So how many people, individuals, saw my post?
Not other businesses, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Now, the other distinction to make is we might see statistics in a little bit for page or post impressions. And impressions are the amount of total times seen.
Okay. That makes sense.
So if we saw a post reach of 400 and we saw the impressions at 800, that means that approximately, and using averages, that each one of those individual people saw that post twice.
Okay, thanks for breaking it down.
And then we have post engagements. So the number of times people engaged with either a reaction, comment, share, or click. This can be sometimes a little bit misleading because in my mind, when someone engages with content, I'm really hoping for a comment or a share.
Right.
Reactions are good, they can be helpful, or if they did click something, once we get into ads, I'll show you guys the clicks and the way they break it out. It's actually very nuanced. Sometimes this isn't a great metric to really base everything off of, and to be really specific with the types of engagement that you're running after. I'm just going to check to see if there's any questions. No comments so far. Okay. Once again, we don't sell anything on our Facebook page, so of course we have 0 orders. But videos, the way they're running the videos is based on they saw at least 3 seconds of your video.
Oh wow, that's it?
Yep. So even then, videos can be a little bit misleading on what it's actually showing you and how it's working with you.
Right. Is that all throughout Facebook, any video?
Well, so they break it out of either 3 second, 15 second, 30 second, full watch, or what they'll call through play. And they all rank those differently.
Okay.
Facebook ran into some problems when they first released the video feature for advertising, where they would say, oh yeah, we're going to charge people per video view, which is okay. So if I want to pay 10 cents for every video advertisement, that's not bad. But what would happen is Facebook at bare minimum would say, oh yeah, the video started, we'll charge you 10 cents.
I don't like that.
No, they caught some serious flack on it, and actually a few lawsuits as well, along with refunding money. It was a huge fiasco. So one thing to keep in mind is, even though they are changing the settings a lot of times they're just trying to grow and figure it out what the audience needs and wants as well. They do test things, but they also don't necessarily get to see what it will do fully in the wild until they push it out. So here is your most recent 5 posts. And then from here, you're able to see at a glance how things are doing. One thing to keep in mind, like for this bottom one that we have, is our organic versus paid. So organic it's people who just probably liked the page, who follow us, who saw the new posting, and then we put some advertising dollars behind it to try and push and broadcast it out even further.
And how do you track that worked for you? I mean, do you know?
Well, so when we talk about that, it has to be in terms of what was the end goal. My end goal was just to get the word out that we were doing a presentation, and that people should go and just kind of pull out the word on it. And our goal was to get more engagement, more shares, because if I can get it in front of more people who can share it, then I can kind of snowball the algorithm a little bit to give me more organic.
Right. And that makes sense. I see your numbers there.
So, and even then it says post clicks. So we did get some clicks, but then engagement.
Right.
So once again, it's not really telling me what kind of engagement I received. The other thing in your dashboard is the pages that you want to watch. And part of this is a little bit misleading, and I don't necessarily like this feature very well, because it puts you into a comparison game. I don't like comparison games because there's always a loser. And if you look at the way we've set this one up, we are the loser in this one. WordStream, Analysis, Octoboard, those are all tools that we use to help our business grow. And so we're just saying, hey, how are we doing compared to these much larger companies? But then we can also say, okay, well, how's the chamber doing? How is Sweden doing? And how are we differing in the amount of posts and the amount of engagement? And you can do this to help kind of monitor your competitors as well.
I like this. I'll have to check this out. So you think this is on every Facebook, no matter what, no matter how old it is?
I can't say that this one is for everyone. I have 2 new businesses that don't have this feature.
Okay, I'll have to check.
Now, in terms of features based on age of the account, your personal profile account is also taken into that account as well.
Okay.
So one of my businesses that we work with, they just created their first Facebook profile page. And in doing that, they don't have access to the marketplace yet.
Okay.
It's actually a feature that's on hold for them for a little bit longer. So I'm just going to see if there's anything in the chat. Nothing in the chat so far. Please feel free to add any questions that you guys might have. Let's see here. So that's the Insights overview. That's the overview page. The one that we like a lot better, that we really pay attention to out of all of these, is the posts. And from here, we're able to organize the data a little bit more. So say I wanted to work with just my reach and understand how many unique people I am reaching every time. I can come in here and evaluate, even if the differences are slight, of, okay, at baseline, I updated my website, I reached 25 people. So that's kind of my lowest tier baseline reach. So then what types of blogs or posts or videos might be doing better? We did share some original content of, we're working on our video studio upstairs. It is done. We would love for you guys to check it out and use it. And we were able to get 60 reach because the pictures were high quality. We also found that by posting memes, we also get higher reach than when we posted an original blog content. So does that mean that the content was valuable or not valuable? That's a hard thing to measure a little bit. And so then that's where we look at how many people click the link to engage or do something. And as always, looking at your end goal. I'm going to click see more so I can try and get our video. We did a video for NAV Grant some time back. As you can see, we did reach 770 people with that single video post.
Wow, that's great.
We did put money behind this. I believe it was either $10 or $20 that we put behind that.
Wow.
And so we more than 10x'd the amount of audience that we typically reach.
For sure.
Any questions or thoughts or things that are kind of rolling through people's minds?
Anything popping up we haven't talked about?
Yeah.
I guess we'll wait for any more questions. Another update from Swedish. So I'm going to be sharing on our Facebook page probably this week a workshop that we had canceled, but the person has offered to do it via Zoom next week, and they've actually offered to do 5 separate sessions. So Holly O'Connor with CCSE Solutions is going to be breaking her webinars down for 30 minutes a day, starting at 10 a.m. She'll go over like Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and just kind of provide 30 minutes of help for people. And also, again, the Cup of Joe next month will be filmed here. We'll do it here, and we'll have Jeff Perry from morethanengineering.com. And like I said, we're looking at doing some other webinars. Is there anything that comes to your mind that you absolutely want to learn about? Last time we did one of these in Colfax, the LinkedIn, Pinterest came up. So we're trying to cover that. So Holly's going to try to cover that next week. But if you guys think of anything, email us, let us know. We'd be happy to cover whatever our knowledge base allows us to do for you. So thank you.
Yeah. So in Insights, the other area that we really like is the people section. And we're able to come in and see of our fans, of your followers, and the people reached, what are some of the ages, the demographics, even languages, really what is going on. Now, I do have some international crowds. I know Brazil is our programmer. I know he does check in on our page. I also have France, Nigeria, Poland, Canada. Sometimes people do assume that these are spam. However, I've been engaging in other Facebook groups and having people come and visit my page from external sources who are from all over Washington and the US and the world. There was a very large conference that still went through in San Diego a few weeks ago. And even though it's been a few weeks, people are still engaging, and we're still trying to add value to that community and pull people over to our page. So it is worthwhile to spend the time to invite people, because all they can do is say no. But if you are interested and you're engaging and you're talking and asking questions with people, odds are they're going to visit your page. This isn't something that sits idle. So in general, you can see what your total people reached is and how people interact with that. As you can see, we mostly reach people in the United States, mostly in the Pullman, Moscow area. That being said, the women 60% and men 40% is very, very, very common. Very common. Typically, women do use social media a bit more than men. And that being said, are willing to engage with businesses more often.
That's interesting to me. I like that, but
Yeah.
I like this feature. So again, do you think this feature is on all Facebooks, or is this a new addition?
This one should be for everyone.
Okay.
Should be accessible to everyone. What this does help you to really work through as well is what kind of imagery should we be putting out? If we combine it with the information we have from the previous post section, we can identify what types of pictures get the most engagement, but then help us plan for similar photos, similar interests, and nail down the targeting for your advertising.
More or less your target market, right?
Exactly, exactly. And sometimes you might be surprised by your target market. Maybe you were thinking it's men and women 45 plus, but then as you get into it, wow, the people who are engaging on Facebook are 18 to 24 or 25 to 34 female only audience. Well, then we might need to start looking at changing how you're targeting, or really what kind of services you're offering to entice that different segment in, with the end all goal being to make purchases. The other one in here is messages. As you can see, we don't get a whole lot of messages, but this is where you can see your response time and how often it's occurring. Like I said, we don't get a whole lot of people using our messenger feature. Sometimes we do miss. As you can see, our average response time is 3 days. That's just kind of an exaggerated number because we haven't received any in the last 7. But if you're ever curious to see how your staff is doing, this is a way you can come in and check and see, okay, if I've delegated this to 2 other people, your goal should be within 20, 30, 40 minutes response times. And if that number is going higher, you can come and see what's going on and where there might be some slack to pick up. I did see a chat come through. Post time, how to get what you're talking about. Yes, yes. So for all future webinars and other information, we do recommend liking and subscribing to the SWEDA Facebook page. They've been keeping it amazingly up to date. Also, the sweda.org website will have all that information as well. I also do recommend joining the SWEDA email list, which is absolutely fantastic. They have actually one of the best email lists I've seen for this area, and they're just wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And they don't email too often.
Thank you. I don't want to be that lady.
Okay, so I'm going to take 30 seconds. Does anyone have any questions about what we've just talked about, or things that they want to learn more in this section before we move on into the advertising stage? Marketplace. Okay, Tammy, do you have a more specific question on Marketplace? How can we sell through the page? Oof. So I'll be really honest. There are very few pages that have that feature. I don't even have any clients that have that feature yet. And I know that can be really frustrating. There's not currently a way to petition for that feature yet. And it's one that Facebook is being very, very slow to roll out. So right now, the really only way to sell through a page into the marketplace is through advertising, and to making sure that those products are displaying exclusively in the marketplace environment. Okay, and then I was trying to join a local business group. However, Facebook didn't allow me to join under my business name, but as my personal profile. That is, once again, correct. Vivian, for your question, once again, everything has to be tied to the personal profile. They are not wanting Facebook pages to join into groups, because what that does is if you have a Facebook page that has 10 to 15 people all managing and interacting with it, you're allowing 15 people with unadulterated access and no accountability into that Facebook group. So they're wanting only Facebook profiles to enter into groups.
That's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In the last 30 days, they have allowed advertisements to be presented in groups. They haven't released a whole lot of targeting functions into that yet, but we are able to advertise inside of groups now. But they're really trying to protect groups from really potential problems. Mm-hmm. Facebook groups are, right now, Facebook's kind of like golden egg because they've been struggling to keep engagement up on the platform as a whole. And that's where we've seen people talking about, oh yeah, Facebook's numbers are declining. In most cases they are, but in terms of video content and group interactions, that's where it's skyrocketing. Mm-hmm. And they are actually doing a huge multimedia advertisement campaigns to promote the groups. So I invite other businesses groups into my business page then, just to improve my page. Yeah, so you have to use your personal profile, and then in the group say, hey, here is my business page. If you guys would like information to view it, please check it out. Here is the link.
That's a good question too.
Yeah, these are great. I'm really curious to see the recording after this because I feel like the lag time is really low on this, whereas sometimes Twitch or YouTube streams will have like 8 to 15 seconds. These responses feel almost instant.
Right. So tell us again, Adam, where we can go back and watch this webinar or share it with someone else.
Yeah, so if you've registered for the webinar, you'll receive an automatic message as soon as the recording is made available. And then we will also be providing it to Sweta, who will push it out on their list and have it available on our Facebook page.
Great.
That being said, we did pass the 1 hour mark and we still have tons more content.
Okay.
So we're doing great today. So I'm going to come over here to the Ads Manager. And I have curated and kind of cherry picked a couple items just because I do have client information. So I do have to be a little bit sensitive on that. Here is a Facebook post. We tend to not use the boosting feature. That is not our preferred way to do it. Sometimes it can be really good for pushing it out quickly, but the targeting options are very limited when you use the boost post feature. So we always like to use the actual business.facebook.com/ads. It'll usually pull you into this dialog. So when you are creating a campaign, this one is just named about the presentation that we gave a while back, you're able to come in and say, hey, where do these people live? How do we target them effectively? We love this feature more because we can come in and drop a pin. So if I say I want to drop a pin and I only really want to do apartment land, I can drop a pin and then I can designate this to only being a 1 mile circle. So if you look, I've then done apartment land, parts of campus, and I am now excluding the normal residential housing within Pullman. This is a way to make sure that you are only targeting students. You can also do this the exact same way to only target residents. If you're in a bigger metropolitan area, there might be certain neighborhoods that you might be running a food promotion or salon promotion. This is a way for you to be just absolutely nano accurate down to that 1 mile range.
That's neat. I didn't know it had that feature. So
it's something that we wish Google had more of.
Right.
But we really appreciate that.
So what about some of the smaller areas in Whitman County? They're pretty rural. What would you suggest for something like this? Obviously a larger radius, but
yeah,
what would that look like?
Yeah, so I would do larger radiuses. So if we looked at Colfax, specifically Colfax, Washington, not Colfax, Louisiana. Now, Facebook does default to a 25 miles.
Mm-hmm.
I would say probably maybe 10 to 15, just because that should get most of your rural Colfax.
Yeah.
Now, if you know that there is a clump of farms or a clump of houses, go ahead and just drop a pin where you know that there's that kind of housing developments available. I've seen that happen. I've seen people use that. It is what we recommend within those rural places. The other way to do it is by the detailed targeting. Have you ever used these features before?
No, this is new to me today.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So this is one of Facebook's most powerful features, is to come in and to do things by interest, by even employers, and even more. So I'm going to clear those out, and I'm going to say browse. There used to be more data in here. Ever since Cambridge Analytica, they've removed quite a bit. If you're wanting even more details, Snapchat is actually the platform to just really deep dive into that, even to where people are going, how much money they spend, etc. Within Facebook, we can say demographics. Hey, what's education level? Maybe we want to do a tutoring center. So that being said, we might come in and say that they are in high school, and we're targeting high school students to do a tutoring center. So we can select that. Maybe there's other demographics, maybe life events. So say we remove high school, maybe we're promoting care packages for new moms. I just had some friends give birth, and so we can say new parents, 0 to 12 months, and target within Colfax or Pullman or other areas. Right now, fewer than 1,000 people, just because of the way it's targeted. But we're able to say, hey, for these groups or these times of life, we're able to essentially add a curated advertising experience. 40% of Generation Z expect the advertising to be relevant to them. So they've already bought into the idea that ads exist. They are 100% okay with advertising. They just want it to be curated.
Right.
So this is where we're able to come in and really do that. We are able to target employers. We're able to target industries. A note on employers, that can be a little bit iffy. It depends if the institution has actually fully set up their pages. So it's much easier to target people who work for Boeing, because Boeing has actually really engaged on their social media and have everything up and running for people to say, almost like LinkedIn, I work for Boeing. Other institutions don't quite have that yet or have spent the time to do that. So targeting by employer can be a little bit iffy. So sometimes targeting by industry can be a much more accurate positioning. We are able to do it based on interests, on people's hobbies, current events, whether they have pets, if they're traveling, vehicles. I would say, I'm not going to go through all of them, but come in, explore, and see how you can best approach your target market. One thing to also specify, so I'm just going to throw in people who are in the market for desktop computers. You can then narrow your audience, because maybe this right now just says anyone who's a new parent and anyone who's interested in computers. Well, okay, that's not very helpful. We can come in and narrow the audience. So if you remember Boolean logic, this is where that comes really, really in handy. So you can say people who are new parents and are interested in desktop computers and have an interest in business and advertising and agriculture. I don't know why you might select those. I'm just trying to give an example, but the Boolean logic of this is very, very powerful and can radically pinpoint your audience. For those of you who have used what's called the business model canvas, this is absolute money if you've gone through and done those market segment analysis. And we do have a question. Yeah, so if these are clumped together, these are OR statements. If you've clicked the plus button, that then creates the AND statement. No, that's a great clarification. Yeah, you got it, Tim. The other way you can do it is exclude. I will say Facebook is very, very conscientious of this feature, and they really don't like it because you can run into issues with law. The best example that we've seen of this is for property management companies, because they're all supposed to go with equal housing opportunity.
Right.
And so then you can't necessarily exclude people. Yep, exactly, Tim. The exclude is the and not. And so be really, really careful with this. You're able to use the same demographics, interests, behaviors. Just be really careful, especially if you use the demographics. Just because if you're discriminating based on education, discriminating based on money or work, you do get into kind of a weird zone and almost even a ethics bad zone. Now, I will say there are some products that are luxury products that you may want to only advertise to people who can afford a luxury product. That's because to me, it's almost mean to advertise a luxury product to someone who can't afford it.
Right. I can see that.
And so there's, if you ever want to, Pullman Marketing is happy to talk to you guys about that, how you want to work through that. We do that a lot, and we have those questions and that philosophy conversations quite a bit. This right here, expand your detailed targeting to reach more people when it's likely to improve performance. This is new, and it is actually very dangerous because it will expand your targeting outside of the confines of what you have set.
Why would you want to do that? I don't get it.
Yeah, so sometimes your targeting might be too narrow.
Okay.
It might be too narrow. So then if they open it up a little bit, maybe 18 to 25 is too narrow. Maybe we need to do 18 to 28.
Okay, so it's because you don't want to go back and change everything. You can just hit that button.
The reason it's dangerous is it's a tool used for Facebook to help you spend money. Remember, Facebook is here to, first of all, create a good user experience. If it's a garbage user experience, nobody's going to use the platform. But number two, they have to make money. They have to make money, and so they will put things in there to help you spend money.
So you have to pay for this, right?
Yep.
If you click it, you pay for it.
Yep.
Is there a base amount, or it's just based off of what you've asked?
Yeah, so it's usually based on what they've asked and the daily estimates. So, and we'll get into the bidding part in just a little bit. Now, placements. This is where we get into that marketplace conversation that we were having earlier. So first of all, we can say, hey, we want it on mobile or desktop. I do recommend we play with this one a lot. But then if you come in, you can say, hey, I want this to be in the Facebook marketplace. I want this to be in the video feeds. I want this to be in the right side column. We do not recommend the right side column ever. It never, in 10 years of doing this, it has never performed. Um, but if you're trying to sell in the marketplace, this is where you would tell your ad to go directly into there. We are recommending Facebook and Instagram stories. We're seeing high amounts of engagement, people using those features. You can use it in the search. There's a lot of options. Typically, we do turn off the apps and sites. What this means is Facebook has its own network of advertising that they'll do. So this can show up on other websites, on other mobile apps. We're not a huge fan of this feature because it does create clicks, but they are usually low quality clicks or low quality leads. We are always more than happy to generate one person who's going to buy versus 10 people who are not going to buy. We've always been after that type of quality. So the last part that I'm going to mention, and these settings are locked because we've already run the campaign, is you can optimize it for different types of engagement. And what this means is I wanted people to engage, which means I wanted them to share it. And I was charged based on how many people went and saw it. So when you asked earlier, like, was this an effective advertisement? Absolutely. I wanted people to just get the word out, do some brand awareness campaigns, and try and get people to just push it out for me.
Okay.
See, I'm just going to check and see if there's any questions. No, that's good. Cool. So then I'm going to minimize this guy a little bit. So in here, if you're just looking at your ad set and you're able to evaluate all the ads, you can come in and see, okay, well, how many results did I get? How many engagements? How many impressions? What's my reach? You're also able to get more information in this breakdown, but you usually have to come in and customize the columns. And we highly, highly recommend doing this. Sometimes it can get a little bit much just to see what all the options are. Like this is all the ways Facebook wants to provide you data.
Wow.
So if you've ever received a report from a company or you're seeing just baseline reports, there is a lot more information, but admittedly, not all of it is good information. So a couple that I'm going to add to the list is frequency. We're going to do clicks all, the cost per click, how many post comments, post engagements, and post reactions, and post shares. Because remember, my goal was engagement, but I wanted shares specifically. I have another example that we're going to run through, but here's all the ways that Facebook rates a video of 2 seconds, 3 seconds, a through play, 25%, 50, 75. And so through plays is one of their baseline metrics that they use as the number of times your video was played to completion or 15 seconds.
Wow.
But what they'll do is they will actually sometimes aggregate that data. And YouTube does that as well. If you ever run a YouTube video advertisement. So what that means is if 10 people, 10 people watched it for at least 5 seconds each, then that's 3 through plays.
What? How does that work?
They're aggregating and averaging the data together.
Wow.
So you're not really getting a good read. And so sometimes you do have to dive in and see, hey, what's going on here? What are we really getting for our money? So I'm going to click this so that we can see all the new data. So out of it, we got 3 link clicks, but we got 19 clicks. So what that means is 3 people clicked to the Eventbrite link
Oh, wow.
that we had been pushing out.
Okay.
But the total clicks, people may have clicked on to see the picture bigger. They might have gone to the page. They might have
Okay.
clicked on comments.
So it really breaks it down here for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then post engagement says 25. So
Yep. So, but with that, no post shares
shoot.
that we had paid for.
Okay.
Now, we did receive some organic ones, but to answer the question, no, this did not fulfill my goal.
Mhm.
So then I may need to change my language. I might need to change the picture, but I'm able to come in and diagnose.
Right. What you could do better next time.
Mm-hmm. And when we work with a client, we're usually making these changes on a hour to 3 hour basis. When we launch a new campaign, we just constantly monitor of like, okay, well, is this working early out of the gate?
Mhm.
Okay, shut this off, turn this on,
Mhm.
and let's adjust and make sure it's the best
Right.
that we
It's kind of like you're managing a system, just feeling it out, trying to figure out what's going on, what's working, what's not.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And one problem that we do run into quite frequently is if we run too many advertisements at a time, there will almost always be one that kind of works a little bit better than the others. But then the Facebook algorithm will say, oh, this one's working a little bit better, only show this ad now.
Oh, okay.
And what that does is we're not able to get a really true test on, say, all 5 images that we wanted to see how they would perform, because Facebook is already trying to optimize without really a true look at it, because we want conversions or we want post shares, or our goals are not always Facebook's goals, is a really good way of looking at it.
That's so true.
Yeah. So the other example I was going to show was for the video that we used. Yeah. So this one, once again, yeah, we only spent $10 on it. And I do have to come in and create more columns for us to look at. But we got 73 through plays.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Which we were ecstatic about. And we also did optimize cost per through play. So we paid 14 cents for every 15 seconds someone went through it.
Okay.
Now that might, to give a little bit of context to that number, you may pay massive amounts for radio or for a TV ad. But if you've gone through the trouble of targeting, you know that each through play was someone who was a potential customer or someone who has reached to push out your brand. You know that you only spent $10 versus hundreds or thousands of dollars in radio and TV advertising. And you're able to see exactly what your results are. Where sometimes with radio or TV, that can be very, very, very difficult to track.
It is hard to track. It is.
And so this number is awesome. I will say YouTube can be cheaper. We've gotten that one down to around 3 to 4 cents per playthrough equivalent advertisement. So I'm going to come in, once again, I'm going to customize our columns just to see really what kind of happened a little bit more than what the baseline report is showing me. Yeah. So I want to see if we did get any post comments, what our engagement, our post shares. I also want to see how many people played 100% of the video and how many played it through at 50%. So I'm going to come down, I'm going to click apply. And it's going to load it up. So we had awesome post engagement. So that means people liked it, but we didn't get paid post shares or paid post comments. Now we know that we did get a good reach. We did get a good amount of unique people, but we didn't necessarily have to pay for it, which is great. what's fascinating is only 9 people played the video through 100%.
It seems kind of low to me. I don't know. There were many people.
No, and people might have skipped around. They may have jumped a little bit. But we know that at least 23 people made it 50% of the video.
Well, that's encouraging.
And so if we know what our through play was, so 73 through plays, so we know that there was a fair amount of content watched, but we had at least 20 to 25 people who were more engaged than the others.
That's good though. I mean, you just have to see what you're going to do when you try all this stuff. So kind of trial and error.
Yep. And then the other thing too is I can go back and say, okay, between 50% of the video and 100%, was it boring? Were there things we could have changed to make the video more engaging at those time points?
Right. Like what makes you just scroll away and turn it off? I don't know. It just depends on the user, I guess. But
and so then we're able to go back and evaluate that and see how we can improve in the future.
Good tools.
Yeah. We're at an hour and 30 minutes. That's all that I had prepped and planned to roll through today. I do want to turn it over to any questions or comments, concerns people might have at this point. All right, Jackie, thank you so much for tuning in. I think you probably have already left because you had another appointment. Thank you guys so much. I know this is a lot of content. It might be a little bit dry just because it's settings here, analytics this, but these are absolutely invaluable tools as you guys are evaluating social media as a whole and as a company. Awesome. Thank you so much, Ming Ming.
Yeah, thanks for everybody for joining us today. We appreciate you taking time out of your day, and I appreciate Adam taking time out of his day to do this. It was important to me to keep this webinar, considering everything else kind of got flushed down the toilet lately. So we're going to continue to try to bring you some programs this way. It's best for everybody right now. So even though it's not really what I want, it's what we need to do. So yeah. So
I'll keep it open for about another 30 seconds, 45 seconds to see if there's any other questions. Thank you so much, Mary Brown.
Thank you. Thanks for tuning in.
I will give a shout out for Mary Brown. She is one of our clients, and we are just so happy. She's an interior designer over on the west side, onedaydesign.com. We absolutely love working with her, and she does some amazing stuff.
Awesome.
So do check out her website. She does have virtual services as well that we're working with her on, and that's really what a lot of social media is engaging towards, is those virtual services. Right now during the COVID-19, it is a pandemic. And so we are just so blessed to have these tools to expand that reach, to work with people remotely. I know we're in person, we're roughly 6 feet apart from each other, not fully, but we're all part of that. Cool, so I don't see any other questions, so we'll be shutting it down here in a little bit.